Good evening, everyone. I am Vaishnavi Vaiti from Kiran Advisors. Welcome to the virtual roadshow of Paradeep Parivahan Limited. Today, we will provide a brief overview of the company. Paradeep Parivahan Limited specializes in logistics solutions, providing comprehensive services in cargo handling, port operations, intra-port transportation, and the handling and transportation of port import cargo. Paradeep, a third-party logistics 3PL provider, offers end-to-end logistics and supply chain services, including multimodal transport, container and sea freight, warehousing, customs clearance, and project cargo handling. From management team, we have Mr. Khalid Khan, promoter and managing director. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
We also have Mr. Abdul Basit Sheikh, vice president.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome, sir. Mrs. Bushra Khan, part of promoter group. Good
Hello.
evening.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good evening.
From Share India Capital Services Private Limited, we have Mr. Ronak Zaveri, Vice President.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now I hand over to Khalid sir to give a short intro about the company and its future plans. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for introduction. And I am Khalid Khan, CMD, Paradeep Parivahan Limited. The company background and how we started. The short brief is ये पारादीप परिवहन लिमिटेड कंपनी पोर्ट बेस्ड लॉजिस्टिक कंपनी है जो सिचुएटेड है पारादीप पोर्ट उड़ीसा में और हमारा मेजर कार्गो है हैंडलिंग का काम जो बल्क कार्गो हैंडलिंग है पोर्ट में दैट इज इंटरपोर्ट ट्रांसपोर्टेशन लोडिंग एंड अनलोडिंग एंड शिप अनलोडिंग एंड डिस्पैच टू द dispatch the material end-to-end solution. So ये कंपनी हम लोगों ने स्टार्ट किया था सन 2000 में. आज 24 साल का या 25 साल होने को हो गए हैं. ये एक बड़ा वास्ट एक्सपीरियंस हमारी कंपनी का रहा है. पारादीप एंड वेस्ट बंगाल एंड आंध्र प्रदेश यहाँ के जो भी पोर्ट्स हैं वहाँ पर हम लोगों ने काम किया है और एक अपनी पहचान तैयार की लॉजिस्टिक इंडस्ट्री में जो कि सॉल्यूशन जो चाहिए एग्जैक्टली वो फार्मूलों को हमने हमारी स्पेशलाइज्ड इक्विपमेंट और टीम के साथ में मिलके किया और कई चैलेंजिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स हम लोगों ने पारादीप पोर्ट में कंप्लीट किए. IOCL रिफाइनरी के प्रोजेक्ट्स को हमने कंप्लीट किया. दैट वाज लैंड रिक्लेमेशन. उसके साथ साथ इफ्को में हम आए. अभय ओसवाल साहब के साथ में हम लोगों ने काम किया. ओसवाल केमिकल एंड फर्टिलाइजर, JSW स्टील के साथ में, JSW सीमेंट के साथ में, PICT ग्रुप पर ये JM बख्शी ग्रुप, रिप्ले, इन लोगों का जितना भी कार्गो का हैंडलिंग है इंपोर्ट और एक्सपोर्ट और टाटा भी आल्सो, उन सभी के साथ में हमने काम करके अपने तजुर्बों को हासिल किया और उनको जो सर्विसेज दिए हैं लॉन्ग टर्म बेसिस पे आज भी हम उनको कंटिन्यू करते हुए आ रहे हैं. थैंक यू.
Thank you, Khalid sir. Now we will start with the company presentation. So what do you, Basit sir?
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. To all the esteemed investors and industry leaders, it is a pleasure to present to you Paradeep Parivahan Limited. We are one of the India's fastest growing integrated logistics service provider, and we specialize in end-to-end logistics solutions, which include cargo handling, port operations, and multimodal transport, which already have been discussed. We cater to critical industries such as fertilizers, steel industry, cement industry, mining industry, and then we ensure efficient and reliable supply chain execution. And with a strong presence in Paradeep port and expanding operations across other major ports and industrial corridors, we are well positioned to capture the future growth opportunities. So this is what Paradeep Parivahan does. We can go ahead to next slide. Next. So these are some key facts and figures as our director, chairman, come managing director has already mentioned. We have a legacy of 24 years backed by leadership team with over 2 decades of experience in logistics and supply chain management. We have a workforce of more than 1,000 plus professionals who ensures smooth execution of large scale logistics operations. And financially, we have demonstrated consistent growth, achieving 211 crores of revenue and 115 crores of profit in FY24. And coming to our return on equity, it stands at an impressive 33 percentage, underscoring our strong profitability. Next. So this is our leadership team with over 2 decades of experience, basically in maritime sector and logistics sector. Next. So we take pride in our strong and long-standing relationships with our some of the India's leading industrial giants. As you can see on the screen, there are companies like IFCO, JSW, and JM Bakshi. So these companies have been, torchbearers in their own business models and their own sectors, and we have successfully executed large-scale logistics contract for all these companies and. These partnerships that we have are a testament to our reliability and our operational excellence and ability to handle complex logistics contracts. Next. So these are our four basically four verticals, key business verticals, and each play a very crucial role in our revenue stream. First being intraport transportation, this forms our backbone of our business, and it has contributed to close to 111 crores of revenue in FY24. What we do here is we facilitate cargo movement within the port premises, ensuring smooth operations for our clients. And the next is loading, unloading, and rake handling. And in this category, we specialize in handling bulk commodities efficiently at ports and railway sidings. So let's say we have client like IFCO and they want to handle cargo at the railway siding. So we support them in their operating functions. And next comes hiring of earth moving equipments. So we provide essential heavy earth machineries for mining, reclamation, and other cargo operations. And apart from that, we have other service contracts, which includes, specialized logistic services and other job specific contracts which we take up from time to time. Next. So these are the kind of services, these are list of services that we provide as Paradeep Parivahan, and we have mentioned all the services that are there on the slide. We can go ahead. Next. Yeah, these are some of the other services that we offer. um, Basically everything that we have talked about. And yeah, owning a modern fleet of machinery gives us a strategic advantage by reducing operational dependency on third party rentals. And as you can see, we have more than 180 earth moving machines, which include hydraulic excavators, payloaders, dumpers, tippers, and various heavy duty equipments. And our high adaptability allows us to deploy these equipments across multiple projects, such as stevedoring, high stacking, and intraport transportation and mining. And we also do in-house maintenance, in-house maintenance of these equipments, which ensure optimal uptime and reducing delays and increasing efficiencies. Next. Yeah. So one of our most significant and long-standing partnerships is with IFCO Paradeep unit, a relationship that we have that has thrived for nearly 2 decades now. We play a very pivotal role in IFCO's logistics and cargo handling, ensuring smooth transportation of fertilizers, coal, and molten sulfur within the port, and also towards the railway sidings as well. So our scope of work basically include cargo bagging, vessel handling, intra-port movement, and supply of earth-moving equipments to support IFCO's manufacturing operations. And the partnership exemplifies our commitment to efficiency and reliability and long-term collaboration. So just we have presented as a case study for our long-term association with marquee clients. Next. So these are few of our projects which we have taken up in the past, and some of the projects are still going on as we speak. Uh, we can go ahead. Next. Yeah. So these are again the sidings that I spoke about to support our client operations. We have taken up a private siding on our name so that they can have faster turnarounds and better efficiencies in economics. Next. Yeah. These are again some of the projects that we have carried out. Next. Yeah, coming to the industry overview, India's maritime sector has always played a pivotal role in nation's economic growth, and ports has been, maritime sector has been 95% of trade volume and 65% by trade value. And India's maritime and logistics sector is undergoing huge transformation now, which are driven by mostly large-scale infrastructure investments and policy reforms. As I mentioned, with 95% of India's trade volume handled by ports, the sector is poised to have a rapid growth, especially with the government initiatives that have come up, like the Sagarmala initiative and the Maritime India Vision of 2030. These are some of the enablers which are giving a boost to the sector. And with rising global trade volumes and technological advancement, India is rapidly evolving in a global maritime hub. And having said that, our presence, which is mostly at Paradeep Port, it proves to be a key driver in this ecosystem because Paradeep has handled close to 145 million tons of cargo in FY24, accounting to close to 18% of the total cargo handled at major ports. And it has reinforced its position as one of the India's fastest growing ports, and hence this is one of the reasons for being having our focus primarily at Paradeep Port. Next. Yeah. This I think we have already discussed the trends and the growth opportunities at Paradeep Port. This gives us a comfortable positions for us to capitalize on rising cargo volumes and growing port infrastructure. And as I mentioned, Paradeep is coming as a huge investment corridor in terms of different projects that are coming up in the area, mostly into fertilizer sector, in the steel sector, also in the oil sector, petrochemical sector. Indian Oil is coming up with a plant of 60,000 crores, and again there are two different steel plants that are coming up by different clients, which is AMNS and JSW. So we are well positioned in the region that we operate, and we are having a stronghold of the operations that goes in the area that we operate. Next. Now I would like Mrs. Bushra Khan to give us a brief on the financials of the company.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just to give you a quick snapshot of our financials, we reported a very robust growth in the financial year 24. The comparisons are on your screen. Around 211 crores of net income reported in financial year 24. Then we also have like a very, you can see the steep increase in the EBITDA margins as well, coming to 34 crores. And there is also the PAT margin of 15 crores. Next. The yeah, the current ratio and the other key ratios are also, you can see the constant increase. You can see there is a very nice growth that you can see over the years. Next. On the P&L, the major things to note again are the revenues, which are around 211 crores. We reported that of revenue. EBITDA was 34 crores. That brings us to a PAT of around 15 crores and gives us a PAT margin of 7.1%, which is a sharp increase of from what we had reported the year before. And we continue to seek the same kind of growth going forward as well. Next. Next. Yeah. So if I just to give you like a service wise revenue breakup, the most, as Mr. Bassett has already mentioned, a huge chunk of what we do is intraport transportation. It is also the segment that gives us the maximum margins. That's also one of the reasons why we have very heavily focused on this particular segment in the past years. So that gives us around 54% of our revenue comes from intraport transportation. The next chunk, which is around 30%, comes from loading, unloading, and rake handling. Hiring of earth-moving equipment comes to around 13.5, and the rest of it is other service contracts. And this segment-wise breakup is actually it's a visual example of how we have calculated, the way our margins. It was a conscious effort on the company's side to increase the margins over the years. So this is exactly what is also reflected in our numbers. Next. Over to you, Basit.
Yeah. So this is we are closing. We are close to ending the presentation. So these are a summary of our competitive strengths that we have already discussed. Having strong fleet and also infrastructure and comprehensive and diverse services that we offer, which is different sorts of cargo movement, and we also do warehousing, and the kind of projects that we undertake, and also the long-term strategic partnerships that we have with our marquee clients, and the kind of cost efficiencies and the operational excellence that we bring in. So, because of all this, we have a competitive edge over the other players in the market. And also, I'm again mentioning that in the region that we operate, we have a sort of stronghold, and there's no other company in Paradeep region that operates at the scale that we operate at. Yeah, next.
I'll just take this. This is the issue highlight as such. So we are opening the anchor issue tomorrow, and for normal public, the issue opens on Monday, that is 17th of March. The size of the issue on the upper price band is approximately 45 crore rupees, and the object of the issue as of now is working capital and general corporate purpose. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are the issue intermediaries, Share India being the market maker, merchant banker, as well as the underwriter for the issue. Axis Bank is the banker to the issue, and Big Share is the registrar. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah. So I think Vaishnavi, we can request the investors to begin with the question and answer session, please.
Yes, sir. I request all the participants to post your questions in the comment box. Thank you. So we have first question from Sadika Narang. What are our working capital cycle in days?
It's 60 to 90 days.
Next question. वसुधा शेनॉय, हमारी रेवेन्यूज कंस्टेंटली बढ़ी है लेकिन प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ज्यादा तेजी से बढ़ी है, इसके पीछे कारण या स्ट्रेटजीज क्या है?
श्योर. सो जैसा कि मैंने आपसे पहले भी, मतलब मैं जब फाइनेंसेस का ओवरव्यू दे रही थी तब मैं बता रही थी, व्हाट वी हैव डन इज हमने फोकस किया है ऑन प्रोजेक्ट्स दैट गिव अस हाई मार्जिन्स. उसमें इंट्रापोर्ट ट्रांसपोर्टेशन पे फोकस हम लोगों ने बढ़ाया है. दैट इज द फर्स्ट रीजन. सेकंड रीजन इज जो हमारे मतलब लॉजिस्टिक्स में इन जनरल इफ यू वांट टू मेक मनी, अगर आपको पैसे कमाने हैं तो द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट यू नीड टू डू इज स्टॉप पिल्फरेज. तो आपको पिल्फरेज स्टॉप करनी होगी, आपको अपने कॉस्ट्स को बहुत ही ज़्यादा अच्छी तरह से ऑप्टिमाइज करना पड़ेगा. सो टू स्टॉप पिल्फरेज and to in order to be able to optimize these costs, हम लोगों ने बहुत सारे measures लिए हैं over the years to optimize fuel costs. हमारी fleet को up to date रखना, using the most up to date fleet also makes sure that you have fewer breakdowns. You don't have to send your equipment to the workshops just as often. Also हम लोगों ने बहुत ही ज़्यादा हाई रिस्क प्रोजेक्ट्स जो हैं ओवर द लास्ट ईयर्स लिए हैं, विच मीन्स जनरली जो आपकी मार्जिन होती है दैट काइंड ऑफ इंक्रीजेज अ लॉट व्हेन यू आर लुकिंग एट हाई रिस्क प्रोजेक्ट्स. एंड दैट इज आवर यूएसपी. हमारी एक्चुअली वो यूएसपी है दैट वी आर वेरी इजीली एबल टू फंक्शन इन फॉर वी आर एबल टू go through with projects that are generally very very difficult to operate, be it because of the terrain or be it because of other reasons. तो ये कुछ reasons रहे हैं जिसकी वजह से हमारे margins काफ़ी अच्छे से बढ़े हैं in the past years. And again, this is a conscious effort. This is not something that has happened by chance. और हमारी फ्लीट की जो मेंटेनेंस है, हमने अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में भी बताया था कि दैट वी मेंटेन इट इन हाउस. तो वो जो इन हाउस हम लोग अपने फ्लीट को मेंटेन कर पाते हैं, दैट ऑल्सो रिड्यूसेस आवर डिपेंडेंसी ऑन आउटसाइड एजेंसीज. सो इस तरह से बहुत सारे चीज़ों को बेस कवर करके हमने ये मेक श्योर किया कि हमारी मार्जिन्स को हम इम्प्रूव कर पाएँ इन स्पाइट ऑफ द रेवेन्यूज बीइंग कंसिस्टेंट.
Okay, next question. Shantanu, please share capex done pre-IPO, size, utilization, and funding source.
I'll rephrase the question for you, Bushra.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so for warehouse and bagging plant, we would have done a recent capex. So if you can just give a gist of it.
Papa, will you be able to say what were the capex done for warehouse and bagging plant? How much was it? We
Yes,
can't hear you.
Basit, you are not audible.
Yeah, I think I'll take this up. So the warehousing thing that we have started is a solution of the business problem that IFCO was facing while operating in their manufacturing plant. So basically, they were facing issues in terms of storing their cargo, which is mostly urea or DAP or the other fertilizer end products that they were manufacturing. And we have built warehouses for them, and the capacity of the warehouses is close to 15,000 tons. And the kind of investment that has gone into each of these warehouses is close to uh, 30 lakhs, and 25 to 30 lakhs is the kind of investment that has gone into these warehouses. And all these warehouses are energy efficient warehouses, and they have been made using in-house design, and also the in-house workforce has been used to erect and assemble this, following all the safety guidelines and all the safety procedures as well.
Next question.
Yeah, just to complete that, sir, utilization of funds or source of fund was internal accruals, and they have also taken some additional debt for the same purpose. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Nupur. What are the key growth drivers that help the company in expanding its EBITDA as well as its PAT margin?
I think the biggest thing here is making sure that you have a constant stream of revenue. So what we also focus on is long-term contracts. So for us, for example, IFCO has been the longest standing client of ours. They've been associated with us for 18 years, and we've been we have a very symbiotic relationship with them. So firstly, having your client base that trusts you and who want to work with you again and again and again. So with IFCO, we've proved this time and again. With JSW, it's the same story. We've been together with them for over 12 years. So once you have this constant stream of revenue coming in, you also ensure that you are able. We as a company, we make sure that we are able to tap into other projects that the same clients has for us. For example, for JSW, we are working, we are operating in Paradeep, we are operating in Orissa, but we are also looking at their projects in Rajasthan right now. So in the same way, there are also, other, with IFCO, we started with a particular size and we grew our capacities as years passed. So this is basically one of the main growth drivers, let's say. And then also, time and again, we look at diversification. We see where else we can find a place. In Paradeep, we have a very dominating presence, and we would continue to have that for the longest time. But we also look at the other ports. We also see where other opportunities are, and we try to tap into them time and again.
Next question, राजेश भाटिया, हमारी warehouse capacity और उसकी utilization levels क्या है?
I think ये हमने अभी just answer किया है. The kind of capacity that warehouses have is close to 15,000 tons. जो कार्गो हम लोग भले यूरिया हो या DAP या कोई भी कार्गो है, उतना हम कैपेसिटी हम स्टोर कर सकते हैं. एंड इसकी यूटिलाइजेशन इज क्लोज टू 70-80% इज बीइंग यूटिलाइज्ड. हैविंग सेड दैट, ये जो कार्गो रहता है ये रोलिंग में रहता है. दिस कार्गो दैट इज देयर, इट्स नॉट स्टैग्नेंट. वो in let's say in a week this cargo keeps on moving. हम लोग, हमारे पास जो कार्गो वेयरहाउस में आता है, हम लोग उसको बैगिंग ऑपरेशन करते हैं, फिर हम ही लोग उसको बैगिंग ऑपरेशन से वी आल्सो ट्रांसपोर्ट इट टू द रेलवे साइडिंग. So efficiencies are always a primary concern for us, and we always try to build efficiencies in our systems and processes. So as I said, 80% efficiencies, and the cargo capacity is close to 50,000 tons.
Okay, next question. Sudeep, who are our competitors in the listed space and what differentiates us from them to be in leading position?
I think Papa, you'd be able to answer this better.
Can I take that question? I think
Yeah,
sir just dropped it. So if you see apple to apple comparison, there is no listed peer as such with respect to Paradeep. Yes, few of the large players are there, and one of their segment is what Paradeep is doing. They may be having it, but not at a scale in Paradeep as such. And what differentiates us from them is, I think Bushra just mentioned that the company is in a position to take contracts or projects which are little riskier in nature, and they have that sort of developed the expertise over the years, more than 2 decades in the same segment and at the same port. So that differentiates the company from their competitors.
Bharti Agarwal, can you also elaborate on vertical-wise operating margins?
Bushra, you can take that.
Yeah. Vertical by in the sense of you want to see what the margins are in terms of intraport transportation and fleet. Is that
Precisely,
the question?
yes.
Yeah, so I think I covered that when I was doing the presentation. So around 52% of it comes from intraport transportation. Around 30 to 32% comes from loading, unloading, rake handling, and the rest of it comes from hiring of earth equipment and other service contracts.
Yeah. Bushra, the question is with respect to the margins in that specific, you just gave a bifurcation of revenue.
Actually, the margins are also similar.
Fantastic.
They follow a similar pattern because what we've done is over the years, the projects that give us the highest margins, operating margins, are actually also the projects that have the biggest revenue contribution. That's how we have built it, focusing on the important, the high margin ones, basically. So yeah.
Okay. Next question. Sanket, which quarters of the company are strong and which are weak?
See, Q1 is always weak. Between April and September, which is not a very good time. Actually, not. I'm saying August, September, mainly because of monsoons. The only risk as such for our business is actually a natural calamity. And rains, if they are very, very heavy, of course, will affect the movement of our fleet. So monsoons is one time which is there's a little bit of seasonality there. And for in the month of April and May, IFCO goes through certain, like there is in the where they have certain housekeeping stuff that they need to do. So in those 2 months, there are the revenues that come from there, or the work is kind of over there stopped. But our fixed costs go on, so there is a certain seasonality over there. So second half of the year is much, much better than the first half of the year for us.
Next question. Nupur, what is the employee count of the company in current financial year?
It's around 1,200 permanent employees and 3 to 400 on contractual basis.
Next question. Raj Gandhi, with your projected growth of doubling from here, what is capex needed and when to be required, and plans of funding the same?
So from what we have already, from what the projects that we've already secured, for what we know, what we would be needing, capex has already been done. It was we did an investment of at least 30 to 35 crores in terms of fleet and other warehouse, everything, increasing capacities. So that capex has already been done, and it was funded both internally and through debt. So it was kind of a mix. Yeah, so basically this is the answer to your question.
Okay. Next question. Sanket, the hiring business is very asset heavy. What are the asset turns of this business and what is the capacity utilization?
uh, so by asset turns, do you mean how long is the fleet good, or what exactly is meant?
You can give a gist, Bushra, that around 4 to 5 years is the
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So around 3 to 5 years, if the conditions are good, then the asset can go on for at least 3 to 5 years. But if the terrain is very rough, or there are particularly difficult areas to operate, then it is around 3 years maybe. And capacity utilization, always we maximize it as much as we can. So it's always at the 90 to 95%, because even if if there is a situation where we have a certain project that was supposed to start at a certain time and it has been delayed, we give out our equipment for hiring to other service providers if they need it. So we don't let our fleet sit idle at all. Whatever revenues we can generate through hiring, we do that. So we make sure that our capacities are utilized as much as possible. So yeah.
Okay. Next question. Ajay Gupta, can you provide working capital cycle and receivable from large clients?
Working capital cycle is around 60 to 90 days, and receivable cycle is also like 30 to 60 days, around 30 to 60 days.
Next question. Sanket, how much can the EBITDA margins grow in coming years?
In the next 3 years, we plan on doubling the margins, actually. That's our growth projection.
Okay. Next question. Ankit, please elaborate on our investment in material handling equipment, likely recurring capex on it, benefits to operations efficiencies, as well as profitability improvement.
Basit, can you take this one?
Can you please read it out again? Investment in material handling equipment. See, the kind of equipments that we use are depending on the project. Let's say we have. Let me explain you the kind of contracts that we take. There are four different types of contract. One is based on the contract. Let's say it is a job work wherein a lump sum amount is given. We have to handle 60,000 metric tons of cargo in a month, and the other is rate based contract. We have a fixed rate. Let's say for a year we have a kitty that, like in IFCO, we have a rupees per metric ton sort of contract, and then we have dynamic port fees wherein depending on the stevedoring operation that we do, the port charges and the other charges vary. Apart from that, we have flexible equipment hiring contracts, and wherein specific equipments are hired for specific jobs. So to answer to your question, the equipments that we own, or that we in future also, if we want to procure some, those are always job tagged. We have a work order in hand, then we go and buy in the assets. If there is a possibility to manage some of the equipments with the past equipments that we have, present equipments that we have, we can undertake the new works, we do that. But there is no recurring expense as such. It all depends on the nature of the contract that we get.
Okay. Next question. Hardeep Bedi, how is the company planning to generate sustainable revenue?
So a huge part of this is what I had covered earlier, saying we take up long-term contracts. So that is our top priority. We also have been having clients that are with us since years now, since decades. So this is basically key to making sure that we have a constant stream of revenue coming in. Other than that, we also have some certain really big projects coming in through our existing clients. Newer ones as well are being targeted, but then through our existing clients also. For example, for IFCO, we have a byproduct of their production is gypsum, which is basically an environmental hazard, and it is absolutely necessary for them to get rid of it. They have been approached by the government of India to make sure that they dispose it off, and it is like a huge mountain. It's a huge mountain of gypsum that's actually lying. So the task of moving that and making sure that it is disposed of in the right way is ours. So we've been in talks with the government. We've had talks with IFCO, and we are just now planning and in the last phase of planning on how we are going to execute this. So this is basically an example of how. And so once this starts, this is again another contract that will go on for years, and you can only imagine the volume that we will be handling. It's even difficult for us to estimate how much we will be handling. What is the weightage of the or tonnage of what we will be handling. So this is an example of how everything is linked. So our clients are in a position where they are also huge, they are very stable, and the kind of relationship we have with them, we have been a very integral part of their growth, which means that their growth is connected to us, and that also generates very sustainable revenue for us.
Next question, please. Nupur, can you please elaborate about the high-risk projects and what are the risks involved in such projects?
Basit, you want to take that one?
Api, you can take this one.
Okay. So regarding high risk projects, what I meant was basically operating in terrains where it is very difficult to operate, then operating in areas where there is a lot of political instability, or if there are other challenges like there are remote areas where there is probably one village or two where you have a lot of restriction on what kind of vehicle movement is allowed, what number is allowed, how many wheels the vehicle cannot have. So there are a lot of restrictions, which also gives rise to, especially when you operate in Orissa and little also in remote areas, that you have to manage a lot of other things apart from just the fleet or the cargo. So those are the kind of projects where we specialize. We have managed to make peace between associations and samitis and villagers, and wherever we operate, we make sure that those conditions are firstly fulfilled. So apart from just operating in very difficult terrains, which itself is a very skillful thing to do, our drivers, from our drivers to our engineer support or the support staff, everyone is specially trained. Particular emphasis is laid actually on training them for operating in those areas. And other than that, it's the other whole background of managing the whole situation when something goes wrong that we specialize in. So this is the kind of risk that I was talking about, and and this is how we manage it too.
Next question. Mahira Yadav, how much revenue comes from top 3 clients and specifically from IFCO?
Around 60 to 65% of our revenue comes from IFCO. The 10 to 15% would be JSW and PICT, and the rest of it would be other smaller ones, JM Bakshi, Replay, and the others. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. कीर्ति यादव, आप कार्गो वॉल्यूम के फ्लक्चुएशंस को कैसे हैंडल करते हैं, स्पेशली जब इकोनॉमी स्लो होती है?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I think this is posted by Yadav, Kirti Yadav. So I'll tell you where our work starts from. हमारा काम जो होता है, जैसे कि अगर कोई स्टील मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी है या कोई फर्टिलाइजर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी या कोई भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी है, ये अपना कार्गो जो रहता है बेसिस द नेचर ऑफ द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्लांट दे हैव, दे प्रोक्योर सम कार्गो फ्रॉम आउटसाइड. सारा कार्गो, थोड़ा कार्गो वो इंडिया से लेते हैं, थोड़ा कार्गो वो बाहर से लेते हैं. तो जब वो कार्गो बाहर से वो पोर्ट पे आ जाता है, हमारा काम पोर्ट से चालू होता है. Right from the cargo, when it enters to the port, we handle it in the form of stevedoring operations, and फिर वहां से हम उसको या तो प्लांट ले जाते हैं या वेयरहाउस ले जाते हैं. तो इन ए वे क्या रहता है कि जो भी कंपनीज अपना प्लानिंग करती हैं, कार्गो प्लानिंग बोलिए या बजट प्लानिंग बोलिए, ये एक कंटिजेंसी अपने प्लान में बिल्ड करके रखते हैं. तो in that way our cargo volumes are always assured and they are fixed. There is no risk to our cargo volumes, क्योंकि अगर प्लान चलाना है तो वो 10 से 20% बफर रख के ही आते हैं. और जो हमारे पास कार्गो हैंडलिंग के लिए आता है वो फिक्स्ड, जैसे मैं आपको पहले भी बता रहा था कि जैसे रुपीस पर मेट्रिक टन का अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा तो उसमें लमसम एक कार्गो होगा कि आपको 1 लाख का कार्गो करना है. वरना ऐसा होगा कि आपको एक महीने में 60,000 टन का कार्गो करना है. So in any which case, our cargo volumes are fixed. So we don't have any fluctuations, because of the economic downturn or something like that.
Next question. Arav Banerjee, top 10 clients' contribution to 97% is positive, as well as here is the risk of client concentration. How would you like to address this consent?
Yeah, I can totally understand the concern as from an investor's perspective, but what I want to emphasize on is basically that our clients, because they've been associated with us for so long, their growth equals our growth. So it's not just us who've benefited from them, but they, for example, IFCO was a very highly it wasn't the way, it wasn't functional the way it is today before we joined hands with them. So there is they understand their capacity. So if it was their capacity is almost doubled on a per day basis after we joined. We kind of, they were manhandled in a way, you can say. So the way, when we actually sat down with them, we spoke with them about, we told them what our plan is going to be, and we worked it out together with them, and then we saw their basically growth chart move upwards as well as ours. So this is basically the kind of relationship. It's mainly in logistics. If you see at ground level, it's basically, it boils down to your relationship with your client. And now the situation is such that, be it JSW or be it IFCO, when they want to take up something new, if there is a new project, if there's something else that they have their eyes set on, they actually first come and talk to us, and they say, okay, there's something that's coming up. Do you think you have the capacity to do it, or do you think you will be able to support us to do it? And depending on whether we say yes or no, they decide whether they want to do it or not. So it is that kind of, that close a relationship. So it's not a very formal kind of a setup that you would imagine, a client or a service provider setup that you would have in your head. This is actually very different when you see it on ground level. And in logistics, particularly in bulk handling of goods, it should be this way. Company should obviously look at diversification. We should look at our other options, but it is extremely crucial to have this a very firm standing, some footing, that you need to have, where you can say that, okay, this is something that is assured for me. This particular amount of revenue is assured. This is coming, come what may. Whatever else happens is on top. So this is basically what we have ensured, is to have this very solid base. Come what may, this revenue is ensured. So this is basically, we look at it as we've only benefited actually so far from, in the last 20 years of our operations, we've only benefited from this approach. And we going forward, we also hope that this will always stay a very positive factor in our financials and overall growth in general. Yeah.
Next question. Sanket, has the Red Sea shipping crisis impacted the business in any way?
Sanket, the Red Sea ship crisis that you are talking about, इसका हमारे पे कोई impact नहीं है क्योंकि ये तो particularly ये जो भी vessel अगर Red Sea से move करता है उसके लिए है. जो हमारे clients रहते हैं वो they get the vessels from different routes, and as I've mentioned before हमारा काम चालू होता है right from port. तो जब ये vessel मतलब voyage में रहता है या जो भी रहता है, all these crises they do not have any effect on us as such. इनका कोई हमारे पे impact नहीं रहता.
Okay. Next question. Raj Gandhi, what is the minimum size of a project that we undertake?
Actually, there is no minimum size as such because, one thing is true, we look at long term projects that I have said before. But the other side of it is for our long standing clients, our client relationship matters the most. So, for example, if JSW comes to us and tells us कि एक बहुत छोटा सा काम है, there is something that we need to do, like, it's something that's bothering them, it's something that they just need our help on, we will dive into it. It doesn't matter because, for us, it matters that they trust us, it matters that they are our long standing clients, and we don't say no to them. So, honestly speaking, we there is really no minimum size as such. We just see the viability. Sometimes if there is a small project coming up, we've taken it up and we've seen where it got us. So there are connections that we make, or there is maybe it was just a start of something very big. So we don't really differentiate on the basis of size as such. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Anandi Mittal, please elaborate on public holding in the company. At what prices shares are offered to them?
Ronak, you're taking that one?
Yeah, I'll take that question. Please elaborate on the public holding in the company. So post issue, the as of now, the promoters are holding around 90% plus. Post the public issue, they'll be down to 66% approximately. So we are diluting 28.75%. 25% goes to the public and rest to the market maker. And at what prices the shares are offered? The price band is 93 to 98 rupees, and post issue market cap will be 156 crore rupees.
Question. Bhavanma Roberts, what is the overall contribution of IPO in total revenue as we are based near their one of the largest facilities?
It's 65%, 60 to 65%.
Next question. Kirti Yadav, percentage of revenue is derived from long-term contracts versus short-term contracts. Bushra ma'am, you're on mute.
90 to 95% is derived from long term. The rest would be short term.
Okay. Next question. Ajay Gupta, how does the company handle fuel price volatility, which is major concern in transport business?
Yeah, to answer this question, so fuel and there are other costs that are mostly variable in nature. तो ये सारे cost को tackle करने के लिए in all our contracts we have a price escalation and price variation clause, जिसमें अगर plus or minus 2% रहता है, let's say fuel का price अगर plus or minus 2% से range से या तो नीचे हो या ऊपर हो, तो उस हिसाब से वो या तो renegotiate होता है या that is paid at actuals. And not just fuel, let's say अगर toll taxes है या toll charges है या कोई भी अगर अदर चार्जेस जैसे परमिट चार्जेस है या नेशनल परमिट चार्जेस, अगर वो चेंज होते हैं तो वी आर पेड ऑल द कॉस्ट एट एक्चुअल्स बाय आवर क्लाइंट्स. ये हमारे हर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में रहता है, दिस प्राइस वेरिएशन एंड प्राइस एस्केलेशन क्लॉज.
Next question. Cogent Invest, as we are operating from labor dominated region and our business is also manpower dependent, are we facing any labor union related issues?
we face labor union related issues time and again. Depending on where we operate, certain part of our employees are always associated with a particular union. The thing is, we've been able to walk our way into it, and we've been able to work ourselves, work it out in a way where most of our laborers actually do not want to be a part of any union. We've offered them very fair compensation, which is actually sometimes even better than what it would be if they were a part of a union. We also treat them as partners. In some cases, we also treat them as like equal partners, depending on the position and everything else. So yeah, but that being said, we do have situations where there are labor union related issues, but since this is where our long standing presence within Paradeep comes into play. So because we've worked in Paradeep for such a long time, we've been having such a good hold in that city in general, that we are very conveniently able to navigate through these situations. There is also, like, my father, the CMD of our company, also commands a lot of respect in general. So those kind of things really really help, and we don't find it. I will not deny that there are issues, but at the same time, they are not so big that they disrupt our operations for a particular period of time or something like that. It's very easy to navigate as well. Yeah.
Right. Next question. Ananya Swaminathan, any future plans of business diversification?
Yeah, for sure. So this is also one of the reasons why we are coming up with the IPO. We have had the chance to, look at a lot of projects, and there are really things that we can do also grow as a company. But as you must have realized by now, logistics is a very heavy working capital, has a heavy working capital requirement. It is intensive on working capital. So it is very important that we, have the required funds, because we don't want to take up a project and then be stuck in between just because we don't have enough working capital. So to support our operations and to make sure that we are able to diversify, and we've done that in the past. It's not the first time we'll be doing it. We've had our operations in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Dubai, in the past, in other parts of India as well. But those have been short term projects. Those were like, we took them in as, learning experiences, and also projects that would probably get us bigger projects in future. So this is something that we've done in the past, also successfully delivered projects, but that didn't materialize into something very long term. But that's also something that we're looking at now, definitely.
Okay. Next question. Nupur, you mentioned that in the coming years, EBITDA margins will be doubled. How that will be achieved? What will be the company's strategy?
So in general, it is basically doubling down on everything that we've been doing so far, plus diversification. The projects that I mentioned, the gypsum project that we have from IFCO, all of those are really really huge projects, and they're happening in the area where we specialize already. We know everything inside out. We know the terrain. We know everything. Those kind of the way our order books are right now positioned, the way our um, the efficiencies that we've built over time, and the kind of growth we are seeing in Paradeep Port, plus the industry that is growing in Paradeep. Both together, this is our estimations are basically based off on that, and yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
how.
just to add a point, I think she mentioned that revenue is expected to double in next 3 to 4 years. So is the EBITDA in percentage in rupee terms as such. And the question here mentioned is EBITDA margins. EBITDA margin in percentage term we cannot double in 3 years. In logistic, improvement of such a margin is not possible as such. So in absolute term, yes, they may over a period of 3 to 4 years, what Bushra is mentioning, they wish to double on the revenue as well as the profitability front.
Next
Vaishnavi,
question.
you can take the next question, please.
Yes. Vimal Gandhi, how does the company plan to scale its operations or expand market presence?
Basil,
So as I've already, yeah, as we have already discussed and mentioned that the kind of strategic positioning that we have in terms of being present at Paradip Port, it gives us a lot of opportunity to capitalize on the rising cargo volume. See, as I've told you, Paradip Port today is the leading port in India. Having said that, last year they have handled 145 million tons of cargo. So the port also has expansion plans in terms of increasing their cargo share. with respect to all the other major ports in India. Along with that, there are different projects that are coming up in the region, and having a strong presence in the region for over 2 decades now, we want to, get a pie of whatever the works that are going to be there in the region, and also the kind of investments that are coming in Paradeep region. Close to 3 lakh crores of rail and port infrastructure investment is going to happen in Odisha, and especially at Paradeep port. So all these opportunities and avenues will help us increase our market presence. So our clients growth plans are our growth plans as well. So the way our client grows, we grow. So that is the answer to your question.
Next question. Nupur, what is the current order book of the company?
We have close to 290 crores in our order book. Naturally.
Okay. Next question. Cogent Invest. As major object of the IPO is for working capital, want to understand in detail about our working capital cycle and the major challenges we face in managing working capital cycle.
So the working capital cycle is 60 to 90 days around roughly. And see, the biggest challenge that we have in managing it is that it is a lot of the work that we do is based on, we have to give a lot of advances. So advances has to be paid in terms of fuel. It has to be in terms of, labor for everyone. There is a lot of advance that we need to pay, and we get paid a bit later. So we raise invoices after the particular handling is done, work is done, and then we get paid 30 to 60 days. So we have to make sure that we meet the gap between getting paid and paying. So this is basically the biggest challenge that we have. But and logistics, this in general is a very logistics, so working capital heavy business. But that being said, we have optimized our costs in a way, or our estimations or the budgeting that we do is very accurate at this point, that we know the seasonality, we know what might go wrong. We maintain enough, our cash flows basically are maintained in a way that we are able to, whenever there is like an emergency, or if there is some kind of a payment that needs to be, so something that we need to cover up for, we are more than uh, prepared to handle that kind of a situation. But if something extraordinary happens, we need to work that out for ourselves. Yeah, but those situations are not very very common. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Sanket, how many months will the company be able to execute the order book?
So it is the next year, let's say 12 to 18 months.
So I'll just chip in here. So if you understand the overall business, the contracts are little long in nature. So let's take an example. 100 is the total contract size. Few of the contracts will get executed in within 1 year itself, and few take more than a year to get completed. So what Bushra just mentioned, that around 290 plus crore is the order book. Few of the contracts will get over in the coming year itself, and few will be 18 to 24 months. That's how it works.
Okay. Next question. Somin, debtor days and inventory turnover.
Around 30 to 60, and inventory turnover would be again 60 to 90 days. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Mr. Velani, what is the biggest risk that we see that can hamper our growth prospects?
It is a natural calamity. So the biggest risk that we have, if I have to name one, then it is a natural calamity, a huge hurricane, cyclone, typhoon, something like that we have absolutely no control over. Although we have insurance for our fleet, so that way we are covered. But the work that is hampered is hampered. I mean, we can recover the cost of we can finance or whatever our fleet, but the time that we lose when we cannot operate, we absolutely cannot operate, that we lose. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Nupur, wishing the team a successful IPO.
Thank you.
Wishing the team a smooth and successful IPO, Mr. Rajesh. I guess we have
Thank you.
covered majority of the questions. Thank you, Asit sir. Thank you, Bushra ma'am. And thank you, Ronak sir. All the best for the IPO. Also,
Thank
thanks
you,
to
everyone.
Khalid.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Vaishnavi, for such a great IPO meet. Thank you, Bushra, and thank you, Basit. Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you,
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.